Hey, welcome back. Today we're doing something pretty interesting. We're making both heavenly and deviled eggs. Now you say, what's the difference? Well, your heavenly eggs is basically a deviled egg without any heat on it. Okay? The deviled egg normally has some type of pepper on it, a jalapeno, but here's the gotcha. Traditionally, the deviled egg had the jalapeno or the pepper under the filling. So you never knew if you were going to get a heavenly egg or a deviled egg. Not until you bit into it. But either way, I'm going to show you how I do it. You're going to enjoy it. Look at this. Here's a few right here, slipping and sliding around. Let me enjoy some of this heavenly egg here. Yep. Try this recipe out. You're going to enjoy it. Hey, this is Shrashira. That's the best elevator music I ever heard. Alright, so for these eggs, what we want to do is in cold water. I've covered them with cold water. We're going to put about a tablespoon of kosher salt in. Right? It's not going to make it salty. And now the secret that I like to use is baking soda. Right? So we're going to put about a tablespoon of baking soda in here. And what's going to happen when it's cooking or when it's boiling, the chain reaction between the baking soda and the shells, it should make it easier to peel, right? So that's why I put that in there. All right, so we have it on the stove. We're going medium to medium high, and we're gonna wash this because here in about 3-4 minutes, we're gonna stir it a bit, right? So that's going to make the yolk move closer to the center of the egg, right, as opposed to being close to the wall, which is what we're trying to avoid. All right, so it's been about 5 minutes. So what we want to do is carefully rotate the eggs, carefully, all right? You don't want to break them. You just want to move them around. Let them settle. Like I said, you're not trying to break them. Just trying to move them. Just move them around. Alright. Now we're going to give this another 5 minutes and we're going to do it again. Alright, so it's been another 5 minutes. Let's give this another stir. And just to move them around a bit. Okay. And now we're going to give this another 7 minutes, and then we're going to turn the heat off. Alright, so it's been like another 7 minutes. Like a little stir. You see how it's all jumping around? Now at this point, we're going to turn off the heat. They're all still underwater, so you don't have to put a lid on it. You know, you may read that you have to put a lid. You don't need to put a lid on it. Some of them are just starting to crack a little bit, the shells, but that's because we put the baking soda in it. It's going to help the shells. So now, we're going to let this sit for about 10 minutes. And then we're going to cool them down and peel them. Alright, so time's up. Let's go ahead and strain these guys. We want to put them on the ice for about 5 minutes or so they cool down, and then want to peel them. All right, let's strain these guys. Pour that hot water off. Now we're going to put some cold water on them, and we're going to add some ice. Let me go get the ice. All right, let's put some ice on them. so they cool down faster. There we go. All right, we're going to give these about 5 minutes, and then we're going to peel them. All right, so now they've been cooled. Just going to crack them, crack the shell everywhere, and we're going to start to peel them. See how easy it peels off? Yep, you can thank your baking soda for that. See that? See how easy that is? Look at that. Dip it in the water. Get the extra shell off. Look at that. Nice. Let's do another one. We're cracking it everywhere in the water. A little squeeze just to break it up a little more. Right? And then we peel it. Because we use, the baking soda, it's easy to peel. Right? No fighting. Back in the water. Look at that. It's perfect. It's perfect. Look at that. And so I'm going to go through and do the rest of these. Right? And we'll be back. Okay, so now for this step, we have our bowl. We're going to put our yolks in. We have our container that we're going to put the whites in. We have our cutting board. We have our 15 hard-boiled eggs. We're going to cut them in half and put the yolks in the bowl and the whites in the container. All right, so it's pretty simple. You just take your egg and you're going to cut it long ways, right? See that? And then you're going to take your yolk and you're going to push it out into the pan, and then put your yolk into the put your white into the container. So it's pretty simple, and we're going to do this with all of them, right? Cut down the center, push the yolk out, push this yolk out. See, so it's all gone into the container there. And we're going to keep doing this. And I'm going to finish these up and we'll be right back. As you can see, when they were starting to heat up, get ready to boil, we stir them around. It puts most of the yolks in the middle, right? You won't get 100%, but most of them be in the middle, so you have a nice little crater to put your mixture back into. See that? All right, so for this next part, we're going to need some black pepper. Right? Kosher salt, yellow mustard. You can change it out for Dijon mustard, that's fine. Need some mayonnaise. I'm using Duke's mayonnaise because it has that little sweet texture to it. You need some sweet relish, right? You don't have to use sweet relish. You can use, dill pickles, chop them up. You can use cornichons, just dice them up real good. I'm gonna have about 2 tablespoons of sugar. And dill, I have about a couple teaspoons of dill. We want that dill in there. And of course we have our yolks from our 15 eggs that we used. So let's get these combined and we'll be ready to go. Okay, and also for the deviled part of this, right? And people somehow in translation, they've lost that, but we're using some jalapenos for the devil. So you're gonna have heavenly ones, which aren't spicy, but then you're gonna have the devil, which is gonna have jalapenos in it. So stand by. All right, so let's get it going. We're gonna add about a teaspoon of black pepper. Get that in there. About a teaspoon. The salt. We're gonna add about a teaspoon of salt. This is kosher salt. I wouldn't recommend, table salt. Kosher salt's good enough. We're gonna add our dill, right? Get the dill in there. We're gonna add our sugar. And the one thing I forgot to mention, we need lemon juice. So let me get that. Now we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of lemon juice. So let's get that in there. There we go. Now we're going to add about 2 tablespoons of our sweet relish. Get that in there. You know, you can add more or less. It's completely up to you, right? Now we're going to add our mustard. And you really want to add like a good tablespoon of mustard, right? The yellow mustard. That's a good tablespoon. Okay? Now we're going to the mayo. Now the mayo, you want to add a good, about a half a cup of mayo. Right, to make everything okay. All right, let's mix this all together. Break it up. Now you might need a fork for this to really break up the yolks. I mean, you could use a whisk. That'd be fine too. And you can scale this however you like, to your taste buds based on the number of eggs you use. Want to make sure we break up all the yolks, because what's going to happen is the yolks are going to suck up a lot of this liquid. So now we're going to put this in the refrigerator. We're going to cover it, put it in the refrigerator for a half hour so it can thicken up a bit. Okay, so just to make piping easier, I'm going to take the filling, we're going to put it in a bottle. Right? Get this bottle filled up. I mean, you could use, a pastry bag, but I find this to be just a little bit easier. Especially if you have it mixed up nicely. And you might notice there's a little bit more of the filling. That is because I added an additional 10 eggs to this. So there's 10 more egg yolks in here. The initial mixture was a little bit too wet for me, for my taste anyway. So I added more egg. And now let's fill some of these up. Here's a partial tray. We're just gonna go in, squeeze, and get it filled. Nice and easy. Right? Okay, so now as you have the eggs filled, you're gonna add a little paprika to each one. You don't need a lot, so sprinkle high. Just make sure you get a little bit on it. You're not trying, to choke nobody with paprika, but you just want a little bit on it. So just go high with it. So now the heavenly eggs are done. So now let's turn some of these guys into deviled eggs. Okay, so to turn some of these deviled eggs, or some of these heavenly eggs into deviled eggs, you need peppers, jalapenos. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna cut the centers out of the jalapenos. We don't need the seeds. We don't want the seeds. We just want that ring of goodness. Now, of course, it's up to you. If you want the seeds, by all means, leave the seeds and the placenta pieces in there. But here in this household, tend to take the seeds out. And for me personally, the seeds, they cause me some stomach issues for some reason. It's funny because it doesn't happen with habaneros, just jalapenos. So that the type of capsaicin that the jalapenos have, it just tears me up. So I take the seeds out so I get that sweet heat, and I don't get the the stomach killing heat. That way I get the flavor and everything. So we have these set. We have our rings. Now let's bring our heavenly eggs over here. And just by putting this halo of pepper on it, we turn it from a heavenly egg to a deviled egg. Just like that. See that? Just like that. One little ring. Get that sweet goodness. And that's all I'm going to do as far as that, because I'm basically the only one that eats it. Eats the jalapenos. Everybody else here, they shy away from it. So there you have it. All right, here we go. We got our deviled egg, or here, this section, are heavenly eggs. They're real popular in the house. And over here, we have both heavenly eggs, and you see the jalapenos. So yes, there's some deviled eggs in there. If you like this recipe, try it out. I know you'll enjoy it. Kids love it. That being said, this is Shrashira, and I'm out.